going on, guys? Alex here with 814EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Oknife Beagle. Now, this is a knife that I got in, I think it was like a week and a half before Christmas time, somewhere in there. It was during one of Olight's, very common flash sales that they do. If you guys are, familiar with Olight, you know that they pretty much do a flash sale almost every month and a half, somewhere in there. And yeah, I think it was definitely in December, because I remember I got this like right before Christmas. So originally the Beagle came out in Olight's like Thanksgiving sale that they did, but it wasn't this specific micarta version, and it with the satin blade. It was a carbon fiber with a DLC coated blade, and I really liked the overall aesthetic of it. I thought it was, excuse me, I had to burp. I thought it was Kaiser's best looking model to date. They have the Driver, the Splint. I think the Driver and the Splint were the two that had come out before that, and those weren't bad looking knives. But I wasn't a huge fan of how they looked and stuff like that. So I always wanted to try an Olight or an Oknife, but I just wanted to hold off. And then I saw the original Beagle with the carbon fiber and the DLC blade come out, and I was close to pulling the trigger on it, but then I was like, no, I'm not in love with the carbon fiber. I have enough DLC coated blades right now. I just, I just didn't click with it that great or that much, so I held off on it. And in December, the flash sale, I can't talk today, guys. The flash sale came around for December, and it was a smaller sale. It wasn't as big as the Thanksgiving sale and stuff like that. But they came out with this model of the Beagle, and it has the brown micarta with the satin blade, and I just vibed with it more. You guys know I like micarta a lot. I just think like the overall look of it looks a lot better, and I clicked with it more, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy that. It was a little bit cheaper than the carbon fiber one, which was good too. So I think I bought this for, I think it was like $60, because obviously you get a little bit of a discount for the sale going on, and then shipping. I think grand total was like $60, and I've really enjoyed this knife, guys. It surprised me how much I really liked it, but I figured it would be pretty good because Oknives are made by Kaiser. That is the OEM of Olight, and Kaiser have a agreement. So I really have enjoyed it. It has a lot of good features, in my opinion, for it, especially for the price point that I paid for it, and it's just all around it. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know if this will be one that I keep in the collection, or if it'll be one that I move on from, just to chase some other stuff, but I really do like it, and I think it's, at the end of the day, I know some people think that the Oknife whole thing can kind of be a little gimmicky, like it's Olight trying to make a knife company and trying to make knives, but I've heard a lot of good reviews even about the two models that I wasn't a huge fan of, about their fit and finish and stuff like that, because Kaiser is a good OEM, and I feel like they've been getting even better in recent times. So it's not as gimmicky as people think it is, because it is an actual well-known knife company making their knives for them, and they're just branded under the Oknife company. But I have really enjoyed this. So jumping right into materials, excuse me. Again, we have this brown micarta. You can see that my oils have sort of saturated in here, a little bit darker in some instances. Black hardware with the thumb studs. This is a thumb stud knife on the pivot, and these screws back here. You have a loop over style deep carry clip that I really like, how Kaiser designed this. The screws are kind of countersunk in. One's kind of sticking up a little bit higher than the other, if you guys can pick up on that. But it's not sunk into the scales, so how I like to say, they kind of did half of it. I really would like to see them sink it down to the scales, but I like how they sink the screws into the clip itself. So you gotta take some. You be happy with what you get, I guess. But I think the pot clip looks really, really good. To me, it kind of reminds me of a ProTech clip. So I really like how the design looks on there. Again, black hardware. The clip is reversible, so you can throw it over here if you're a lefty, which is really cool. The blade right here is the Oknife logo. I wish it wasn't like right on the meaty part of the blade. I wish it was kind of up here on You know, the the blade is satin with like a stone wash. Well, it's all satin, but it's less satiny up here on the one grind. I just think it would look better up here in between the top of the knife into where the flat grind starts. You definitely could have shrunk it down and made it a little bit smaller. I don't mind the logo. I think it's kind of unique, but I just wish it wasn't like billboarded so much on there. Then you have 154 cm as the blade steel, which I've been getting a lot of 154 cm knives in recently. The 2 Finch knives that I just reviewed have 154 cm, and I got the Kaiser T1 in the other day that has 154 cm, so I kind of have a little collection going on 154 cm. But for an EDC knife and for an EDC steel, I've had no complaints with it. I know that there's better steels out there and stuff like that, but again, for $55 for the knife, $60, it's a good steel. So, and then over here you have Beagle, which is the name of the knife, of course. And then you have Azo, which is an in-house Kaiser designer. So he clearly was the one who designed this knife for Olight. I don't know what the serial number 1010. I'm not sure exactly how that works, because I think a serial number would be longer than that, but yeah. So the blade is, again, satin. It is a flat grind, relatively thin. Behind the edge, it's not bad. And this thing, so far has a really good edge on it from the things that I've used with it or used it for and cut with. No complaints at all about that. There is some internal milling going on the show side. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. They're all different. Some are smaller, some are bigger, but there are holes cut in on the show side. And then the lock bar side has a couple, and then a relief cut for the lock bar as well. This is a liner lock with some jimping right there. And so there was some lock stick on this knife that I just took it apart and tuned it up last night. I was also watching some YouTube, and I was getting really annoyed with the lock stick, and the knife wouldn't center for me. So I took it apart and I bent the lock bar out a little bit to make it. I figured that might help it with not sticking so much, and it worked really well. You guys can see, like, it's definitely easy to push over now. I don't know if you guys are going to pick up on that very well, but it's definitely easy to push over. Some people might think it's a little too easy, but I haven't had an issue yet with, not that I've really done much use with it, because again, I just did tune it up last night. But I would much rather have a lock bar that is easier to push over than a lock bar that you have to like really push over and you have to hear the clicking sound from the lock stick and stuff like that. So I'm really glad that kind of solved it, because the lock stick gets really annoying at times. And then it did help with the centering too. This knife is dead centered, so I was really pleased with how it turned out. And there is no blade play. There's, like, if you really torque down on it, there's a hair blade play, but it's really rock solid. So yeah, I think that's all for materials. Next, we'll jump on to action. And action is phenomenal on this knife. So you, again, have the dual thumb studs right there. So you can thumb flick it out. The D10 is tuned really nicely from Kaiser. Again, there's no blade play. You can middle finger flick it out. And you guys can see that closing action. It's drop shutty. This knife is on bearings. And I did put some KPL on there too. But I remember it being really smooth from the factory as well. Middle finger flick it out. We'll try to... Gotta get past the D10 ramp. Look at that, guys. Just drop shut. Really, really well done by Kaiser. The action is... I feel like a lot of Kaisers lately have had really, really good actions. And that makes me happy, because I remember for a while, Kaiser was kind of, not necessarily shit on by people, but people weren't huge fans of them. Like, I remember Kevin, a good buddy left EDC, wasn't a huge fan of Kaiser, but more recently he has started really, really liking Kaiser and enjoying the knives that he's had in to check out made by them. And I just... it's just really fun to fidget with, especially now with the the lock bar being so easy to push over. I mean, it pretty much takes no resistance at all. I mean, a little bit, but like I said, some people might think that that's not enough lock bar pressure, but there's no lock raw. I mean, this thing is rock solid, so I see no issue with it until, you know, I don't hard use my knives, so I don't think it'll ever really be much of an issue. Especially like when I go to open the knife like this, and then I go to use it, like my finger is on the lock bar. It's covering it up, of course, like, so it's not gonna accidentally get like disengaged and the knife's gonna like hit my fingers or anything like that. And when I have this knife out, I'm aware of it being easier to manipulate and easier to operate than other knives. So I'll remember that, and I'll, you know, be a little bit more careful, I guess is what you could say. But I don't think it's an issue at all. Like I said, I'd much rather have a easier lock bar to operate than lock stick that is just a pain in the ass to try to fix and here, and it's just very frustrating. Lefty, great lock, or a great thumb stud action over here too. Middle finger flick, awesome. Like all around, just a really, really good knife. So action is really, really good on this one. Next up is Ergos. And it's just, you know, it's a very simple knife. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just very simple. You have a, you know, straight back here, kind of tapers off towards the end. Here you have a, you know, sort of finger groove, and then it kind of tapers off the same way. There is no choil on this knife, but there's a lot of fine jimping up here, and then you have the jimping on the lock bar as well. And I just get a really, you know, my pointer finger goes right here, and it just kind of fits really nicely into that finger groove. I can get a full finger grip on here. My hand kind of falls right into that jimping, and if I'm really stretched out, I can kind of, you know, land right on that harpoon. I don't think I mentioned that this has a harpoon style blade. You guys already probably noticed that by now, but silly me for forgetting. But it's really comfortable. It's a very usable knife. I carry this to work a lot over Christmas break, and it's a very user-friendly knife. I think it'd be a really good work knife. The pot clip is, I mean, it's up there, but it definitely is not terribly, you know, hot spotting the hand. Because it's deep carry, it kind of falls into my, you know, crevice right in there, and I can definitely feel it, but it's not terrible. There's definitely pot clips that are worse, and that's kind of a caveat of having a loop over style deep carry clip, because it's going to be raised off the knife. It's not going to be as close as just like a normal milled clip, because you're going to have more clearance and stuff like that. So you're definitely going to feel loop over style deep carry clips more than just like a normal milled titanium clip that's kind of sunken down closer to the knife. But yeah, Ergos are really good. I kind of wish there was a choil up here. I mean, they're kind of, it's not really a choil, but you can kind of put your finger up there if you're, you know, doing something like really, really, you know, light use, and like, or you're cutting paper or something like that. But I wouldn't recommend that knife wouldn't recommend that way, because, I mean, you're basically on the corner of the edge right here, and it's nice and sharp. So yeah, Ergos are good. Lefty, in my left hand, you know, it's good too. So like I said, I think this is, you know, it's a really simple knife. It's really ergonomically done well. I think that this would just be a good work knife. So far, I found it to be a really good EDC knife, maybe an outdoor knife. I think this has a lot of uses for it, and a lot of different ways it can be applied. So yeah, Ergos are good. Next up is carry, and again, just like we were talking about, loop over style deep carry clip that goes to the butt end of the knife, maybe even a hair past it. But I mean, this thing is just going to disappear in your pocket. There is a lot of milling going on the liners. The micarta is, you know, always nice and lightweight, so this thing carries super well. It just fits in the pocket. You have no flipper tab that's going to stick out. Everything is contoured nicely. The micarta doesn't have any sharp edges. You know, it carries well. I primarily have carried this knife in my front right pocket. No issues whatsoever. Pot clip goes in and out of your pocket easily. Retention is a little bit tight, but I've had, you know, no issues with trying to get over the sort of, you know, seam or hump of your pocket. But yeah, carries well. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll just jump right into the, you know, final category of what I recommend this knife and price point. So I've already said the price. Price goes for I bought it on sale for like $60 total with shipping. I believe now they're lower 70s, and I still think that price is worth it. I think as long as you're paying sub $100 for this knife, I think that's a good deal, especially in the 70s, stuff like that. You know, I will try to leave a link if I can find it on Olight's website. I don't know if you can get both of this, and like I don't know if they consistently stock both this and the carbon fiber one. I haven't been on the website in a while to look, but I definitely will, and if I find it, I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested. But I just like it has really surprised me. I was really excited to get this in, and I'm very glad that I did, you know, finally decide to pull the trigger on it, or on an Oknife, because I just wanted to see what it was all about. I wanted to see how Olight was, you know, sort of producing this Oknife company through Kaiser, and you know, it is definitely, it has surprised me with how good it is, but then at the end of the day, it hasn't surprised me because I figured with it being Kaiser, it would be a great knife, and it turned out that it has. Like, this thing is rock solid. Excuse me. You know, you're getting good materials, 154 cm, micarta, loop over style deep carry clip. It's very much adequate for that price range. You know, centering is dead on. You're on bearings. I mean, pretty much a guillotine. I think I said that right. Free dropper. I mean, this thing just is a ton of fun to play with. I mean, guys, for, you know, sub $75, like, I think this is just a really good knife, and I really think it looks, you know, well done. I like the harpoon blade shape. Like I said, it's just very simple, very utilitarian, and I'm very glad I picked it up, and I think it's a fantastic knife. I don't know if I'm going to sell it. I don't know. It might come down to just me just wanting to chase other stuff, and you guys know, if you're in the knife community, that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to get rid of knives that you really like just to chase other stuff that you might love. It's just how it goes. And it's not like this knife is super expensive. So, you know, I could, you know, I'd only be getting like $50 out of it or so. But at the end of the day, is it really worth it? It just depends on stuff that I want to try. Trying to make more content for the channel, stuff like that. But as of right now, it very much has a home in my collection. And it's a very good knife. It's a very nice knife. Kaiser did a really good job on it. Materials, fit and finish, action, carry, everything is just superb. Especially, I mean, when you're $60 for this thing that I paid for it, I mean, I can't complain whatsoever. I was very happy with it. Just all around a great knife, and I would absolutely recommend this. If you're on the fence like me, or if you were, like I was on the fence, so if you are currently on the fence with trying out an Oknife, definitely I would persuade you to try to pick this one. I haven't handled the Drever or the Splint. They could be good. I mean, I've heard good things about them, but I don't really love that the Drever has N690 steel. I believe the Splint does too. There's also a titanium S35VN version of the Splint. That one might be pretty good, but you're paying, you know, $150 or whatever it is for that. So you're paying for the better materials. I just think from a usability standpoint, that this blade shape and this handle shape, just they look really good. It's very simple but very utilitarian. I like to use that word a lot. I think that this is their best knife they come out with. So I would definitely, if you're on the fence, maybe choose this one, and I don't think you'd be disappointed. I think that you would enjoy your purchase, and you would be happy you did so, because if it's as smooth as mine and as drop shiny as mine is, you're going to be in for a treat, and you're going to really enjoy that knife. So that was my full review on the Oknife Beagle, which is a Olight company made by Kaiser. Awesome knife. I have really, I'm glad I have it in the collection. It might be sold, it might not be sold. I'll really have to do some thinking about that. Just depends on, stuff I want to keep and stuff I want to chase and different stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. You guys are probably seeing this on a Saturday, so I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I hope you're having a good time, hoping you're enjoying the little bit of a break till the next work week starts. If you haven't considered clicking subscribe yet, please consider doing so. I really would appreciate it. Every subscriber means a lot to me. My channel growth has been kind of slow, and then I had a big splurge at the end of summer, and now it's kind of slow, but then I had a kind of decent sized splurge when I did my giveaway and stuff like that. So it's cool. I love when I get on every morning and I check my YouTube Studio app. If I have a few new subscribers, it just makes me really happy, and it kind of puts me in a really good mood for the day. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and definitely be on the lookout for the next video. So talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.